don't know if he's done another account, but he's already started trying to fund for he's actually put it for a second he's called it for a second banner. I mean, there is no first banner, but he's actually already putting in a campaign for a second banner, and people are like, and he's not being ripped apart. How is he not being ripped apart by people going, well, where the hell was my money? What have you done? How can you have the front to come and talk about a second banner when you couldn't even produce a first banner? It's amazing.
The funny thing is, people want to believe it's true. It's like, believing in Father Christmas or something like that. These people have got to have something to actually dig their fingernails into and actually say, well, this is happening. But the worst thing of all is the journalist Matt Law hooked onto this. He replied to me on a couple of tweets yesterday where I had a pop. I mean, he's for supposedly a well-respected journalist. He's gone out there. He's looked at a tweet. Some twatty little kid has thought, "Hang on, I've seen such vitriol on here and the hatred, and I can cash in here." And he's running articles saying that Spurs fans are going to run off a plane with a banner on it, and then he's just made himself look like a complete fucking twat, to be honest with you, isn't it? It's just that's the power of Twitter. It's become almost this propaganda.
Yeah.
If you've got an agenda, you can find or hook into something on Twitter where your opinion or your ideals, they're validated. It's nuts, absolutely nuts. It was funny.
I thought it was incredible because there were conversations about the fact that obviously it's been brought up. I know that it was raised to Mourinho, I think, in interview and everything, and there was then conversations that were had that we as a club have changed and our transfer policy and our intended transfer policy over the summer on the back of a threat of this banner, because they thought this banner is going to happen. Apparently, we've now decided we're going to actually invest and back Mourinho where we weren't intending to do so before. So the fact that the banner didn't go ahead, does that mean that the club now can change their plans again and decide, well, actually, the banner didn't actually happen, so we don't need to back Mourinho until we actually see evidence of a banner? I mean, if people actually believe that they're having this much impact, I don't understand. I don't understand where they're getting this thought process from.
I think it really has so little impact on their thinking at a board level. I honestly think that they don't make these decisions about what this club does based upon emotions, based upon any of those sort of trivial kind of people agitated. They'll know, of course, that as fans, for us this is an emotional game. So you get upset about things, you want this and chuck it, or and we've all done it. We've all been angry at certain things, and the next day, a couple of days later, you calm down. That they can't do that. They have to take the helicopter view. So over this whole project, from the last 10 years or so, they knew that the stadium was coming in. They knew that they would have to find the funding. They knew that what the various phases were going to be in terms of how they put all that together. And then the second part of that whole thing was to get it to take us on to the next level, which is hopefully where we're going next. Pochettino was the ideal manager, was the perfect manager to fit into part of that plan then, because he could get the most of everybody. But unfortunately, he's got to a point where he squeezed the pips out of everything, and then you naturally come to an end of a cycle. And I think that so the club aren't just going to kind of start changing tactics or tack on things because a couple of chumps decide to fly a plane over. They can see where this club is going, and they know that in 3, 4, 5 years time, when we built the team we were aiming to, we'll be in such a different position. All of a sudden, everyone will look back again with, in hindsight and say, oh, well, it was, this is what was planned. We knew it. We just wanted to sort of agitate. And last time, if you remember, the ENIC outers, they were massive. And then all of a sudden, they disappeared for about 3 years.
Well, yeah, because we suddenly delivered, we delivered in terms of improved performance and improved results and looking like there was progress, and I think I can't remember. I think it was from our account where we kind of tweeted a summary of what we thought was the situation and the current situation and said that what Pochettino had achieved was like a happy accident because we obviously his project and his target was to build the club, get us into the Champions League, put a platform to ensure that when we got the new stadium that we had all the infrastructure and all the tools in place to then go on and progress from there. Now, we weren't expecting to get to the final of the Champions League, and that was ahead of where our expectations, and therefore it kind of set the bar that little bit higher in terms of what we thought we would achieve, what the fans thought we would achieve, what the club suddenly had different expectations based on the personnel that probably weren't equipped to deal with that. Stace.
That was just squeezing the last out of players really getting to the Champions League. Yeah. And I've said it many a times. He should have looked to sell some players after we left White Hart Lane before we moved to Wembley and restart again then. Yeah. From that major good season, we had never lost a game at the Lane.
We didn't really pay it any mind, but when Pochettino said that we're well ahead of the project at that time, we were. And that's because he made us greater than the sum of the parts that we were. But now we're getting to the point where there will be some changes. It needs to be that, Mourinho will bring in his players, but the system is different. So we're not going to quite see it in that same kind of style and same way that we can't just pick up as it was in its pomp in them because the dynamic is totally different.
Jose will build from the back, from the goalkeeper to the four players in front of him are his key game. He doesn't want to concede a goal. And look at, I don't see us ever getting beaten 3 or 4-0 or 4-0 under Jose. Maybe if we have a bit going forward. But he builds from the back and getting the players to defend properly, looking at that front, the people in front and obviously getting the midfielder right in front of the back four.
Well, that's the thing. You can't build a house by putting the roof on first, can you? You've got to start from the bottom.
It's just we're not going to be creating 30, 40 chances a game. No chance.
But we still haven't spoken about Arsenal yet, but we're going to speak about that now. But in terms of, if you look at how people perceive the game from yesterday, we dominated. I felt we dominated the first half. I thought we should have had at least 2 or 3 goals based on possession and chances in the first half. Didn't take those chances. Second half, obviously, it was more backs to the wall, and we were defending and we were struggling. And when I say we're struggling, we weren't actually struggling. We were fairly comfortable. They had one clear chance, but if you look at the actual chances and shots that were had, we had more shots than they did over the course of the game. So, there was a stat about possession, and I think that was in a 10-minute period. So they did a Sky, what Sky are like, they do snapshots and do a reflection of things, and someone's decided to screenshot the fact that there was in that 10-minute period, there was 80% possession for Arsenal and 20% possession for us, and saying, well, this is a reflection of the game, but it wasn't actually, it was just in that brief window. But, as you say, I mean, in terms of what he's like, he doesn't want to, he won't risk the game. We were, in the game, we drew, we immediately having conceded, we went and scored, and that sets us up to then have a good foundation for the match, and then we build from there. I think my summary, I think we need to talk about Aurier. Obviously, the situation with his brother apart. I thought he got a lot of flack yesterday based on Lacazette's goal, which was a great finish. But I felt that actually there were other people that were involved that could have helped him out in that situation that just kind of stood around. I don't know what you thought, but for me,
obviously coming out with a ball like he did, the players are not expecting it to return so quickly. They've got to be on their toes. He done it in the second half when he turned his back on a shot. I can't remember who hit the post in the second half.
Aubameyang.
Sorry, he hit the post, and he turned his back on a shot. As a defender, he got drawn across. He was moving across to the centre, and he got caught out of position when the ball got whipped over the top to Aubameyang. And obviously he struck it against the post. But if you watch, he turned his back, and you don't do that as a defender. You've got to rush out, close down, bang, and keep your eye on the ball. And
I don't know what you think, Steve, but like my son has been, has played for about 15 years with his local team, and he's a defender. And if anyone's going to get any stick, it's the defenders.
Yeah.
Strikers can miss 20 chances, and everyone goes, "Oh, unlucky."
Yeah.
But a defender makes one mistake, and everybody is on them.
And that speaks back to what you've kind of said, where with Pochettino and getting them to be like the sum of the parts. And it feels to me more like, the team at the moment are a team of individuals. And this goes back to what I was saying about the chances that are missed. And there are opportunities when we're up front for Kane to play in Son rather than shooting, for example, for Son to play in Kane. And they just, they don't seem to do it, but they don't, the criticism that is labelled at them or is levelled at them is never going to be as significant as, if a defender makes a mistake that may lead to a goal, or if Lloris makes a mistake. And obviously, because if Lloris makes a mistake, it's instantly a goal. If a defender makes a mistake, Lloris, there's either other defenders around or, Lloris to back him up. But if a striker makes a mistake, it's just a missed chance, effectively. And that, I guess that's the difference. And that's why he's always in the firing line, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it's an interesting game in the sense that we had a lot of attacking intent, I thought. I mean, I know, that they did have a lot of possession, but when we got the ball, we you could see what we were trying to do, like the counter attack. But both sides, I thought, were quite sloppy with turnovers. Both sides got robbed quite a bit. So you could see like Moura, who I thought had a really good game, but often would run into a few people and get tackled. Same with Son. But that was happening all the time. There were people just, on both sides who were just getting turned over constantly. It was a strange game that way.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think you're right about Moura. I think he worked hard. He probably lost the ball quite a lot, but not as much as he used to. I think he was always, every time he got the ball, he'd always turn, run into trouble, and it would turn over. Whereas he seems to have been told to think about the game a little bit more. So he was more inclined to be a little bit more, patient or try and play passes. He played a couple of really nice passes through for Kane to try and get on the end of, and as a side to his game that I hadn't seen for quite a while. We'd kind of nicknamed him Fido on them. Yeah.
Totally. There was one pass that was out of this world. It was just chipped over. It was such a great pass. I don't think Kane felt too happy about some of Son's passes, but non-passes.
Yeah. Jamie, what did you think of the game?
Yeah, I thought we did all right. I mean, overall we had 9 shots on target. They had 4 on target. We had 37.3% possession overall, which is actually surprising because it felt like we had the ball a lot more than they did. But I saw an interesting quote from Jose. I'm not sure where it's from or when it was from, but he made a comment about that to be in control of a game, you don't always have to have the ball. Because the team that has the ball for a long time, they lose their momentum, they lose their confidence because they can't break down. And maybe that's an issue that we had under Pochettino in the last sort of 12 months. Poch.
I thought you said Pochettino.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was trying to be Argentinian. But yeah, I mean, I found that to be quite an interesting quote insofar that you don't always have to have the ball to be in control of the game. And obviously, that gives you a bit of insight into this counter-attacking philosophy that Mourinho has, which apparently Sacramento, the assistant, he has developed Jose's boring, rigid, old, out-of-date, counter-attacking philosophy. I'm not quite sure how or what the tweaks are, but generally yesterday I was really pleased with the result. It's always one of these